A warm greeting. Today is Saturday, June 10, 2023. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia speaking. In today's video, I would like to talk about the possible development of a Central American gyre, which is a circulation that usually occurs during this time of year in parts of the Caribbean, some regions of the Pacific, and over Central America. I have seen that some images of a cyclone developing in the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico have been shared for the next week, specifically referring to the forecast from the American model, the GFS. However, please be cautious because this forecast is long-term, and currently, the other models do not predict the development of any cyclone in the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico. Although there is a small possibility that we may see some low-pressure system, we will be monitoring it from the end of next week. On the other hand, it is also possible that we may see some low-pressure system moving westward during the next week, and we will be attentive in case there is a possibility of any cyclonic formation in the eastern Pacific. It is essential to mention that, at the moment, the National Hurricane Center has not identified any areas of interest for development in the next 7 days. To explain a little about what will be happening in the next few days regarding the Central American circulation, it is important to note that the El Nino phenomenon has officially developed in the Pacific, and its effects are beginning to be felt in some areas of the United States, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean. Primarily, we have already seen a variation in the jet stream at high levels of the atmosphere, which has been a bit further south than usual. This is precisely one of the effects of the El Nino phenomenon, as we can see in this image. Usually, when we have El Nino in the Pacific, you can observe that the jet stream at high levels of the atmosphere tends to be further south compared to when we have La Nina. In the La Nina phenomenon, the jet stream is usually located towards the north and center of the United States. However, during El Nino, it tends to split, with part of it going south. This generally causes shear winds in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, which helps reduce cyclonic activity in the Atlantic. The question is, what effects are caused by the jet stream being further south than usual at the moment? This can influence the wind direction near the Western Caribbean. When the jet stream shifts southward, it causes a slight variation in the wind from the northwest over parts of Central America. On the other hand, we also have the trade winds in the Caribbean region, which can contribute to the formation of the Central American circulation. This is precisely what the models are forecasting for the next few days, and we will be vigilant in case any low-pressure system develops, especially towards the northeast of Honduras and the east of Nicaragua. Now, let's take a look at the forecast from some models. If we consider the GFS model, you can see that by the end of this week, it predicts strong trade winds blowing from the east over the Caribbean Sea. This naturally generates vorticity in this region and can aid in the formation of this circulation. It is precisely from this area and energy that the GFS model predicts the development of a low-pressure system in the long term, just east or northeast of Honduras and Nicaragua. However, you can see that this area of maximum vorticity is associated with a broader rotation, which is the Central American gyre. It is also possible that we may see the development of some low-pressure system south of Chiapas and Guatemala, possibly moving westward and remaining quite far south of the Mexican states. As usual, when we have a Central American gyre, we typically have several competing low-pressure systems trying to dominate, and rarely do we see development in both regions. Meaning that if any development occurs, it will probably only be in the Caribbean or solely in the Pacific. However, please consider that historically we have seen 2 cyclones form after the development of a Central American circulation. As you will see in the next few minutes, the probabilities of development in the Caribbean region at the moment are extremely low, so we shouldn't be concerned for now. In the Pacific region, although the chances of development may be slightly better, it also doesn't pose a risk for Central America or Mexico. If we look at the long term, you can see that the GFS model is predicting the development of a tropical cyclone in Caribbean waters for the following week. However, this forecast is long term, and forecasts with such a long lead time are not reliable. Therefore, we are currently disregarding this possibility, which is why the National Hurricane Center has not marked the area as an area of interest for cyclonic development. Although we will continue monitoring the models, I must also mention that only the GFS model shows cyclonic development. So, as long as the other models do not show development, we shouldn't be worried. For example, if you look at the European model for the next week, it only indicates a disturbance south of Mexico and in the Caribbean region. Although it does show higher vorticity than usual and some rotation associated with the Central American gyre, it does not predict the development of any tropical cyclone. I will keep an eye on the evolution of this forecast, particularly to see if any other model aligns with the GFS model's idea. Another crucial factor to consider is that strong wind shear is expected in this sector during the next week, as clearly shown in the Ensemble forecast of the GFS model. In the red color, we have stronger wind shear than usual, which will be present over the western central Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico regions. This would definitely be a limiting factor for cyclonic development. However, it cannot be completely ruled out. Although, the probability is extremely low at the moment. Let's take a look at the Ensemble forecast of the GFS model. You can see that some of the members show the development of a weak low-pressure system for the upcoming weekend, approaching or passing very close to Honduras and Nicaragua. However, at the moment, it does not show significant strengthening, and the vast majority of GFS members do not predict development in the next 7 days. Also, note that in the southern regions of El Salvador, Guatemala, and southern Mexico, the GFS Ensemble forecast does indicate the possibility of low-pressure development. So, it is highly likely that this area will be marked by the National Hurricane Center in the coming days with a low probability of cyclonic development. We will be attentive, but remember that, for now, it is anticipated that any system developing in this area will move westward, as you can see in this forecast. The weather pattern will favor west-northwest trajectories, and for now, it will likely keep any low-pressure system away from the Mexican region. Finally, I wanted to share the probabilities of tropical depression development over the next 7 to 9 days. You can see that the European model currently maintains a 5 to 8% probability of development in the Caribbean. So, this is an extremely low probability. However, in the Pacific region, the probabilities are better at the moment, ranging from 20 to 30% for the development of a tropical depression. Although it is still low, I believe it will be sufficient for the National Hurricane Center to mark this area as an area of interest for cyclonic development in the coming days. Well, with this, I conclude this video, but not before providing a summary. We will be monitoring the Western Caribbean region as well as the area south of Mexico and Central America due to the possibility of a Central American circulation developing. However, the probabilities of cyclonic development in the Caribbean remain extremely low, mainly due to the presence of strong wind shear. Additionally, only the American model shows development, while the other models do not predict cyclonic activity. Although the probability is extremely low for development in the Caribbean, the chances in the Eastern Pacific are slightly higher, ranging from 20 to 30% for the development of a tropical depression. However, nothing is imminent. It appears that any development would move away from Central America and Mexico. But as you know, these forecasts can vary significantly. So, I will be attentive to any eventuality and will notify you if there is a more substantial suspicion of cyclonic development. For now, you can remain calm and prepare for this hurricane season. Remember to subscribe to my channel by clicking on the red button below the video that says subscribe. Then, click on the bell icon to receive notifications when I upload new content. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time, I hope you all have an excellent week.